mouse controls. And this is pretty much the code that we want to implement. Right now I am moving the paddle with the keyboards and my laptop, so as you can see I'm doing manually. So but I also have implemented the mouse control. As you can see, I'm using my cursor to move from left to right, so I'm moving right now to the left with my cursor, so it's being controlled by the mouse of my laptop. So this is the code that we are gonna implement, so we're not only gonna be able to move it with the keyboards but also with the mouse. Okay, so this is the 9th step out of the 10 game Canvas tutorial. You can find the source codes that you should look, and this is the pretty much the GitHub repository. This is the lesson 9, so we're almost done. The game itself is actually finished, so let's work on polishing it up. We have already added keyboard controls, but we could easily add mouse controls too. Listening for mouse movement. Okay, so listening for mouse movement is even easier than listening for key presses. All we need is the listener for the mouse move. So we have the mouse move event at the following line in the same place as the other event listeners, just below the key app event. And we're gonna close this one, and we are gonna go into our folder game dev, and I'm just gonna pretty much type code space that. Okay, so I'm gonna close this and I'm gonna close the terminal. Okay, so we are gonna go, let me see, at the following line in the same place as the other event listener, just below the key app event. So again, you can just go to the JavaScript file and just type Ctrl F and then key app. Okay, so we have two events, so we have add event listener key down and also the key app. So now we're gonna have a third add event listener, and it's gonna be, let me see, it's gonna be document that event listener mouse move. Okay, so okay, let's just type it in. So document that add event listener. Okay, we're gonna open parentheses, we're gonna put mouse. Okay, so as you can see, we already have it here, and you can read it at event listener type key of document event map listener. Okay, so we have all this information here. So we have the mouse down as a first parameter. Okay, so now we're gonna have the mouse move handler. So let me see, mouse okay, mouse move handler, like this, camel notation. And as a third expression, we're just gonna have this boolean, and we're gonna set it to false, so we can end this statement with a semicolon. Okay, so we have the mouse move, and then we have the mouse move handler. Okay, and then the boolean. And if we go into the canvas, okay, so it's still working. Okay, that's fine. Let me see, what else do we have here? So we're gonna go and, oops, I have scratch. Oh, okay, yeah. What we are gonna do is we're gonna go into the index.html and just pretty much right click and then open with live server. Okay, and as you can see, the game has pretty much nothing is working here because we have added this event listener. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, anchoring the paddle movement to the mouse movement. So we're gonna anchoring the paddle movement to the mouse movement. So, and again, we cannot see the paddle, but we can update the paddle position based on the pointer coordinates. The following handler function will do exactly that. Add the following function to your code below the previous line you added. Okay, so below the previous line that we added, so we're gonna go pretty much here, and after the three that event listeners, and we're gonna have a function, and we are gonna name it, mouse move handler. Okay, it's gonna be mouse move handler. We're gonna pass in e, we're gonna open curly braces, and inside of the curly braces we are gonna have, in this black statement, we're gonna have this constant declaration name relative. Okay, relative x with uppercase letter x, and we are gonna set it to the e dot. It's gonna be e dot client uppercase letter x minus the canvas, and that offset like that. offset. Okay, offset left. Okay, let me see something. Offset. Okay, I have it here, the second one, offset left. Okay, so we ended with a semicolon, and now we're gonna have an if statement declaration. So we're gonna type in the if statement declaration and then the curly braces. So, and the conditions, we are gonna have that. Okay, so we're gonna have the relative x. So as long as the relative x as long as the relative x is greater than 0, and so we're gonna use the double ampersand, and the relative x the relative x is less than the canvas that width. Okay, so as long as that, we're gonna execute this code. So we're gonna go inside of the curly braces, and we're gonna have the paddle, let me see, the paddle x. We're gonna have the paddle, okay, the third one, the paddle x, and we are gonna set it to this equation that is gonna be the relative x minus the paddle x divided by 2, semicolon at the end. So we have the relative x minus the paddle, relative x minus the paddle width. Yeah, it has to be the paddle width, so this one. Okay, and we can save it. Okay, so, and again, pretty much, let me see, right now it's working. Okay, so let me see if I can move it. Not yet. Okay, so yeah, but right now it's working. Okay, so what else do we have here? In this function, we first work out a relative x value, which is equal to the horizontal mouse position and the viewport e dot client x minus the distance between the left edge of the canvas and left edge of the viewport canvas dot offset left. Effectively, this is equal to the distance between the canvas left edge and the mouse pointer if the relative x pointer position is greater than 0 and lower than the canvas width. So let me duplicate it. So they're talking about that, and less than the relative and less than the canvas dot width, or in this case, effectively, this is equal to the distance between the canvas left edge and the mouse pointer if the relative x pointer position is greater than 0. Okay, so they're talking, oops, again, I messed it up. It's greater than 0. Okay, it's greater than 0 and lower than the canvas width. Okay, it's greater than 0 and also is lower than the canvas width. Okay, is lower than the canvas width. The pointer is within the canvas boundaries, and the paddle x position anchor on the left edge of the paddle is set to the relative x value minus half the width of the paddle, so that the movement will actually be relative to the middle of the paddle. Okay, the paddle will now follow the position of the mouse cursor, but since we are restricting the movement to the size of the canvas, it won't disappear completely off either side. So, oh, and one more thing. So when we go to our main.js file, instead of having mouse down as the first parameter, we need to have it as mouse move, because what's happening is working, but we need to click it. So if I click it to the left, okay, it's moving, but you just have to move or hover only the cursor in order for the paddle to move to the left or to the right. So we're gonna change mouse down to mouse move, like that. Let me see, and that's the only thing that we're gonna mouse move. Okay, so we have saved it, and let's refresh the code. Let's see. Okay, as you can see, I'm just pretty much using my mouse right now. Okay, so I don't have to click anything, so I'm just moving the cursor left, right now, left, right, so it's following. That's pretty much is a lot easier than having to press the keyboard. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so you can compare the code. So this is our code that we have here in the web document. So if you can see it, let me see if I can have it here. It's gonna be in, wow, those Okay, here at event listener they're using mouse move. Okay, so you can check out your code here, or you can also go into the GitHub repository and you have a look at it. So try adjusting the boundaries of the paddle movement so the whole paddle will be visible on both edges of the canvas instead of only half of it. So that's all what we have for the mouse controls.